fine, I'll do it.
Have you ever wanted to play tennis but feared that it would be too difficult? If you're like many, the tennis serve seems really hard to execute. However, in 3 simple steps, you can execute the tennis serve in no problem. Serving is the start of any tennis game, which is why it's imperative to serve correctly in order to win the game. But luckily, you can do a tennis serve in 3 simple steps, which include first, getting the right body form, second, tossing the ball vertically, and third, the swing. These are the steps I use every summer to teach tennis camp, and they always work. So first, you must get the right body form. When you first learn to serve, simplicity is key, meaning that when you first start, that your serve is not going to be extravagant, nor is it going to contain a lot of minor details. Rather, it's going to be a simple body form that consists of 3 parts, which can then conjoin to serve, that can then conjoin to form an overall body pose. This body pose consists of your left foot being angled towards the net post, like this, your right foot being parallel towards the baseline, which is the line at the bottom of the tennis court or the very back, the thick white line, and then having your body angled towards the direction that you want your ball to go. It's imperative that you have your body angled towards the direction you want the ball to go, or else the likelihood that your serve or the ball will go over the net is greatly reduced. This is the easy part, so on to the next step. Second in the process of serving is the ball toss. If there had to be one part of the serve that was known as the hardest part or the most imperative, it'd be the ball toss because there's so many different factors that could affect the overall success of the serve. For example, the ball toss can't be too high, it can't be too low, nor can it be too fast or slow. Furthermore, it can't be angled too far out or too far behind you because then the success of the serve, the chances of the success of the serve will decrease. So once you're in the correct body form, which we already discussed was your left foot angled, your right foot parallel, and your body angled, you will then toss the ball into the air. When you go to toss the ball into the air, you want to make sure that your arm is completely extended vertically, and you also want to make sure that the ball is in the fingers of your hands like this. You don't want to put the ball in your hands completely because when you toss it, it will actually add spin to the ball, which you don't want because then that also reduces the likelihood that your ball will then go over the net. So once you throw the ball into the air, make sure it's vertical or extend your arm completely horizontally, hold it in your fingertips and toss right above your head like so and be able to catch it. So that is the ball toss. So as you are extending your arm towards, you're actually going to have your racket behind you, which is the third step that we'll be talking about. But when you are tossing the ball, the arm behind you will actually be going up at the exact same time, so it will be a simultaneous motion since the serve in tennis is so quickly. In addition to the ball toss, when you are going to strike the ball, you need to make sure that you throw it at the right angle so that when you strike it, it's a correct strike. You don't want the ball to be too far behind you or too far in front of you because then you will mess up the correct body form and it will end up messing up your feet, which will reduce the likelihood that your ball will go over the net. So leading to the third and final step. At this point, the hardest part is already taken care of, which is the ball toss. Easy part is next, which is the swing of the racket. So after you started the motion of the ball, you need to start the racket swing to ensure the correct timing. So when you toss the ball, you want to make sure that you make contact not when the ball is on its way up, right about here, nor when the ball is coming down. Rather, you want to strike the ball when it's right in the transition between going up and coming back down because that will also ensure the success of your serve. So when you are swinging the racket, many of you may be wondering, well, how do you hold the racket? And it's very easy. So the easiest way, which I teach in the summer camp, is to pretend like you're going to shake the racket's hand. So what you do is you put your arm out like you're going to shake a new person that you're meeting or something like that, but instead you pretend like the hand you're going to shake is the racket grip. So when you stick your hand out and you make sure you have a nice L shape, you take your hand and put it on the racket like this, and then you just grip it, and it's just like you're shaking the racket. Then you will actually pretend like you're using the racket almost like a back scratcher and scratch your back like this. This is what we have the 5-year-olds at tennis camp do in the summer. It's almost like you're scratching your back, but you don't actually move the racket up and down. So this is how your racket will be. And then this will be before you even start tossing the ball. So that is how you hold the racket. So the next part is striking the ball. And like we said, you strike the ball when it's up in the air between the transition. So after you strike the ball, once it's up, I can't do it inside, you will actually follow through after you've stricken the ball. So after the ball is in motion towards your opponent's side of the court, you will actually follow through with your racket towards the opposite hip. So when you're right-handed, you will bring your racket towards your left hip. Whereas if you are, if you're right-handed, you bring towards your left hip, and if you are left-handed, you will bring it towards your right hip. This will help just to ensure the power of your ball as well as like the overall strength within the serve. So hopefully by this last step, you will have successfully aced your opponent. So in conclusion, serving in tennis can just be resulted down to 3 simple steps: getting the right body form, tossing the ball correctly, and then the final racket swing. So congratulations on your accomplishment, and hopefully you'll be able to share this with others. Thank you. How long was that?
The time of that speech was 5:40.